Around 9,000 years ago, as the first farming villages spread across the Fertile Crescent, a problem quietly began growing alongside human civilization. Harvests became larger, families produced different goods, and people no longer made everything they needed themselves. One village had more grain than it could eat. Another shaped beautiful clay pots. Others raised sheep, tanned leather, or crafted stone tools. Trade became essential, but every exchange depended on one difficult question. What if the other person did not want what you had? The rise of permanent settlements had created prosperity, yet it had also exposed the greatest weakness of the barter system. At first, people searched for simple solutions. A farmer carrying sacks of wheat wandered from house to house, hoping to find someone willing to trade for exactly what he needed. Sometimes the exchange worked. Often it failed. A shepherd might need grain but already own enough pots. A potter might want wool but have no use for more vegetables. Trade slowed, arguments increased, and valuable goods spoiled while owners searched endlessly for the right partner. As villages expanded into towns, this invisible obstacle threatened to limit the growth of entire economies. Communities gradually discovered that certain objects were accepted by almost everyone, even if they were not immediately useful. Seashells, polished stones, beads, salt, and rare metals began passing from hand to hand because people trusted others would also accept them later. Nobody invented money in a single moment. It emerged naturally as human societies searched for something that could represent value without depending on perfect coincidence. The invention was not an object first. It was an idea built on shared trust. Yet trust alone created another challenge. Different regions valued different materials. Cowrie shells circulated across parts of Africa and Asia. Salt became precious where preserving food meant surviving harsh seasons. Elsewhere, pieces of copper, silver, or gold gained importance because they were rare, durable, and difficult to fake. Trade flourished locally, but long-distance merchants faced constant confusion. Every border introduced new standards, new arguments, and new uncertainties. As trade routes stretched across continents, civilization demanded something more reliable. That turning point arrived around the 7th century BCE in the ancient kingdom of Lydia in western Anatolia. There, rulers began producing standardized metal coins from electrum, a natural mixture of gold and silver. Each coin carried an official stamp guaranteeing its weight and purity. For the first time, value no longer needed to be measured during every transaction. A single symbol of authority replaced endless negotiation. Buying, selling, paying taxes, and rewarding soldiers suddenly became faster and more predictable than ever before. The idea spread with astonishing speed. Greek city-states refined coinage. Expanding empires carried coins across mountains, deserts, and seas. Markets grew louder, ports busier, and caravans larger because merchants could now calculate prices with confidence. Wealth became easier to store and transport than sacks of grain or herds of animals. But success introduced another unexpected problem. Metal was heavy, expensive to produce, and dangerous to carry across vast distances. Prosperity itself demanded a lighter solution. Centuries later, during imperial China, merchants and governments experimented with paper representing stored metal value. Instead of transporting chests filled with coins, traders carried written promises accepted by others because trusted authorities stood behind them. Paper money transformed commerce on a scale impossible for metal alone. Trade accelerated across enormous territories, connecting distant cities with unprecedented efficiency. Once again, money had evolved not because people desired change, but because civilization itself had outgrown its previous solution. Even paper could not stop the evolution. Banks developed systems that recorded wealth without physically moving it. Later came checks, electronic transfers, credit cards, and digital payments. Today, billions of transactions travel invisibly through computer networks every day. The physical object once called money often never changes hands at all. Instead, numbers shift between accounts in fractions of a second. Yet beneath all this technology survives the same principle discovered thousands of years ago. Value exists because people collectively believe it does. Archaeologists continue uncovering ancient coins, merchant records, and forgotten marketplaces, revealing that money was never created by a single inventor or a single civilization. It emerged independently through countless experiments as humans repeatedly confronted the same obstacle: how to exchange value fairly between strangers. Every breakthrough solved one limitation while exposing another, driving the next stage of innovation. From fragile shells gathered along distant shores to invisible digital balances moving across global networks, the story of money is ultimately the story of human cooperation. It transformed survival into commerce, villages into cities, kingdoms into global economies, and simple exchanges into the interconnected world that now depends on an invention whose greatest power has never been metal, paper, or numbers, but the extraordinary human ability to place trust in a shared idea.